This is about how to conduct an effective lobbying day. And I put this together with two longtime schedulers in the California State Capitol, Megan Garrison and Tisha Simpson. More and more lobby days since COVID have been taking place in the California State Capitol and, of course, the swing space itself. So we tried to compile a series of suggestions for conducting successful lobby days in three categories. First is prior to the meetings. So prior to the meetings, you need to schedule the appointment and prepare for your meeting. This will need to occur at least a few weeks, if not more, in advance. Also, you needed to determine whether the meeting will occur at the Capitol office or the district office, although most instances it's at the Capitol office for lobby days. When contacting an elected official's office, ask to speak with the scheduler and be prepared to offer several dates and times that you can meet. Provide a list of individuals who will be attending the meeting and do not be surprised if the scheduler asks you to fax or email a formal meeting request. For legislative meetings, and assuming that you're in Sacramento, then the Capitol office is the appropriate venue. On the other hand, if you or your group can't go to Sacramento due to the cost or time constraints, then a meeting in the district office is appropriate. If the legislature is in session, as they are for about 8 months of the year, a meeting in the district will likely occur on a Friday when the legislator is home in his or her district. Prior to the meeting, you need to determine what specifically you're going to ask for. Asking for something specific is one of the key ways to get the attention of elected official. Making a clear and concise request will help make your meeting more effective. In addition, before you meet with your elected official, it's important that you take time to learn about the official and his or her priorities. Knowing who your elected official is and why you're meeting with them is pretty critical, of course, and most of the information you'll need is found on the internet. Determine any roles for yourself and other participants in the meeting. If everyone is from the same organization, are they from the same industry group? Are there multiple persons with different organizations or different viewpoints? Organize and designate a group leader to open and close the meeting, and perhaps assign presentations or a key message to each individual at the meeting. Now, particularly if there's a group of individuals meeting, then it's wise to prepare and practice for your meeting. A short run through, a dry run, as they say, what everyone is prepared to say is always helpful. And again, it's important for the group leader to set the tone of the meeting at the outset. Assume the meeting is on time and make sure that the group leader is progressing the meeting along and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak. Of course, dress appropriately for the meeting. These are business meetings, and therefore you should dress in business attire. Also, be sure to confirm your meeting a day or two in advance. You don't want to travel all the way to the state capitol, for example, just to find out that the meeting was canceled or rescheduled. How about during the meeting, the second area? Always be polite. Even if you have hard feelings, you might be upset about a particular issue or a vote. And if you don't get the response that you're hoping for, to continue to engage professionally and politely. Although your meeting may not be as successful as you had hoped, perhaps the next one will be. You certainly don't want to upset the elected official or his or her staff when you meet with them. Remember, it's a long-term relationship and you'll hopefully have multiple meetings. Of course, always tell the truth. Do not be misleading, threatening anyone, etc. It'll mark the end of your ability to have future meetings with that official or their staff. Another big no-no is never discuss political campaigning or campaign contributions in any legislative office, nor with the legislator, nor his or her staff. And also don't discuss political things with staff or members. It's important, of course, to arrive on time, not too early, but definitely not late. Most of all, be flexible. For example, if the legislative office is full and staff has to hold the meeting in a hallway or another place, do not be fazed. Similarly, if your meeting was scheduled with the elected official, but he or she is now unavailable, happily take the meeting with the legislator staff. If you can't make the scheduled meeting, be sure to call and notify them in advance. Personalize your message as much as possible. Particularly if you're a constituent, make sure you explain why you're there. why you are best positioned to deliver this message, and why the elected official or their staff should care about your view. By explaining the direct impact of an issue or a bill, such as personalizing it, how will it impact you or your industry, you will hopefully have a greater impact. You don't need to focus on facts and figures. Rather, show that you care enough to explain your position and how it impacts you and other individuals similarly situated. If you have a compelling story, you should tell it, but do so briefly. When you begin your meeting, of course, identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. If you're a constituent, let them know, or whatever other potential connection that you have to that legislator or their staff. Be specific in your request. For example, do you want them to vote yes or no? Do you want them to perhaps contact somebody, talk with a colleague, contact the administration? If your request is too vague or general, you may not get any action. To be most effective, you should be specific in your request. Try not to make more than one request per meeting. If you bring up multiple messages, multiple requests, at the very least, prioritize them. But remember, you might get stuck with the easiest or least controversial one instead of the one that you really care most about. At the conclusion of your meeting, be sure to leave a one-pager or a leave behind and make sure that their staff gets the same information that the member, the elected official, does. These materials should briefly explain your issue, why it's important, and what your key messages are. And be sure, of course, at the bottom to include contact information in case there are follow-up questions. Finally, after the meeting, you should send a quick note thanking the legislator and his or her staff for taking the time to meet with you. This is also an opportunity to follow up or reiterate your message or the request that you're making. And be sure to acknowledge any position or statement that the legislator made on your issue or bill. Follow up is always critical, especially because some legislative meetings are very quick, and be patient with a response from the legislator's office. But don't overstay your welcome or become obnoxious or an irritant. If it's an ongoing issue, you may have to follow up, but do so at appropriate times. Finally, try and be a resource to your elected official and their staff. For example, you may not have all the information or answers to their questions. Be sure to follow up with them. And hopefully they understand, for example, your experience, your expertise, why you could be a potential resource to them. Then they're likely to follow up with questions and rely upon you. Some other considerations that Megan and Tisha put together with me. Consider the time of year and the published legislative calendar when planning a lobby day. Don't plan lobby days during critical deadline weeks, for example. Legislators aren't going to be available as they're sitting in committee or presenting bills in committees. And of course, staff are assisting their legislators and are also busy. Consider while they're meeting in the current swing space that it is pretty limited, maybe 3 or 4 individuals at most. Otherwise, you'll have to get a room or meet outside in the hallway or the common space at the swing space. Once you've determined the date of your lobby day, the most important person will be the scheduler. In a number of offices, they do use web pages and require individuals to provide all the details of the meeting request. Not necessarily a letter or faxing or emailing, but that web page. So that means don't email a separate request, for example. Otherwise, you should send a letter or an email to the scheduler and don't include lots of other people in that request, just to the scheduler. If you send the invite to the district office, it's likely to end up with the scheduler in the Capitol office, so send it to them. Some offices, a very few, do have a separate scheduler in the Capitol and district offices. Recognize at the outset that your lobby day is unlikely to include all elected officials. So set your own expectations and the expectations for the participants in your lobby day. Even after all your lobby day appointments have been finalized, know that there will be changes. That's the nature of the Capitol. With whom you are first scheduled to meet with may change, and the time or even location could. Expect changes to happen, and when it does, work with the scheduler and your master schedule to make accommodations for your lobby group. You may want to feed participants before they start or conclude their lobby day visits. If not, be careful if they go through the lunch hour. Make sure that there is time built into the schedule for them to exit the building, for example, and get a quick meal or a snack of some sort. Some groups have used pre-ordered lunches that are brought into the swing space, and then the attendees can eat in one or more of the common areas. Again, for your visits, make sure that one person is the lead both for the scheduler and for the meeting, and provide day of lobby day contact information for the scheduler. Again, when leaving, try and be sure to thank the scheduler and the staff for the meeting. And don't be worried about delays. It happens. So try and build in a little extra time to ensure that your meetings run smoothly for your lobby day.